Call the meeting of the St. Louis County Board of Zoning Adjustment to order. The board members present today are Janet Herman, Chairman, Angelia Bills, Vice Chairman, and Justin Randall, Member. The BZA Coordinator is Debbie Nesbitt, and staff members are Mel Wilson and Emily Countlin. First, I offer into the record the affidavit of publication pertaining to today's meeting, June 16th, 2021. The board hereby takes official notice of and admits into evidence on the record the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance, Chapter 1003, St. Louis County Revised Ordinance 1974 as amended, and Chapter 1004, St. Louis County Revised Ordinance 1974 as amended. Next, I call for a motion to approve the minutes of the previous BZA meeting of June 2nd, 2021.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. The hearing procedure is informal, but is a teleconference and is recorded. The planning staff will read each request into the record. The petitioner will be unmuted, state their name, and make a brief presentation to the board explaining the reason and hardship for the requested variance. The board will not consider financial hardships. Board members may ask questions to clarify the facts. When the board is satisfied with material presented, the chairperson will then ask if there is anyone in favor or opposition to the request. To indicate you would like to speak, please click the hand next to your name. If any comments were submitted, the staff will read them into the record. Before a call for the vote, the petitioner may request a continuance in order to bring in additional documentation. The board may also request a continuance to gather additional information or for a visit to the site. Once comments have been heard, the chairperson will call for a vote. At that time, the discussion has ended and no further discussion is permitted. The board will generally make a decision today. 2 members of the board must vote in favor of the petition for it to be approved. If a variance is approved, you have 6 months to obtain the necessary permits or establish the use requested, or the variance will expire. The petitioner or any interested party has the right of appeal to the St. Louis County Circuit Court. This must be done within 30 days of the decision. Paperwork indicating the board's decision will be mailed to the petitioners.
Emily, are you reading the request in, or am I? I'm sorry, I don't remember what you decided.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we have petition 55-21. James Lamb requests an exception to the rear yard regulations for the purpose of constructing an 8-foot high fence at 4909 Millsmar Drive, maintaining a rear yard of 5 feet in lieu of 15 feet as required by the R3 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance.
Okay, Mr. Sansone, you are unmuted to give your presentation.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So the reason for the variance is that it runs 26 feet along a basketball court, and it's for fall prevention and also to prevent the ball to travel into the neighbor's yards. It is black vinyl coated chain link designed for sporting goods and things of that nature. If there's any questions, feel free to ask.
Is the basketball court in this person's yard?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, there, sorry. Okay. And then what's behind that? So you wanted to put it behind the basketball?
Well, if you're facing the basketball hoop, it would be to the right because it's the closest one where there's a ledge that somebody could fall off the basketball court. And also it's the closest to the neighbor's yard. And the neighbor kids come over and play basketball. It's just to keep people from falling off the ledge, and then also to prevent basketballs from traveling off the court.
Okay. And do you have a picture of what this fence would look like?
I thought that was supposed to be sent through. I have one available that can be sent. I don't know if I can currently do that while we're on the phone.
Did you say it was a black coated vinyl chain?
Yeah, It would be black vinyl coated chain link. It's cleared through most HOAs. You know, it's most of the time the only chain link allowed into nicer subdivisions. And it's designed just solely for if somebody rubs up against it, it doesn't hurt their skin. It's a good solution for putting it along basketball courts, tennis courts, stuff. If you've seen tennis courts, it's the same material that goes around tennis courts.
Does it have the mesh that you usually see around tennis courts, or just open?
No, it's open.
Okay.
So when you're saying black coated chain link, so the instead of being like the metal looking, it would be all black.
Yes. Instead of it being galvanized steel that you see, it has a black vinyl coated material that it's dipped into, and the same goes with the posts and all the hardware. So you don't see any galvanized steel. It's all black. Everything, the nuts, bolts, all the hardware is black.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Justin or Angelia, do you?
I don't have any other questions.
I don't know where Angelia is. Can she hear us?
Yes.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yes, now we can.
Yep.
Do you have any
Yeah.
questions?
No questions.
Okay. Is there anyone on here who's in favor or opposition? Please hit the hand next to your name.
I don't see anyone.
Okay. 55-21, I'm going to vote to deny the variance. I do know that there are other solutions besides an 8-foot black fence. There's like 10-foot nets that you can put around, and that it's up. There are some of our blacktop, and it's doing the same thing. And those are portable, and I think they would be better aesthetic looking. So I'm voting to deny for the fence.
I second it.
I'll concur.
So is that the final answer, unless I take it to court? Her suggestion is a portable white net that has no safety for fall provision as far as the that material that you're speaking of goes.
Well, we already voted. I believe a smaller fence can be put in, and maybe the larger net or something for protection.
Mel, correct me
Yes,
if I'm wrong, but they could put a 6-foot up without any variances, correct?
6 feet is if it is, and Debbie knows that, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's when it exceeds 6 feet, it needs to meet the setback.
So they could put a 6-foot fence, and we wouldn't even be talking about this. So that would be a potential option.
yes, sir. Well, thank you for your guys' time, and I appreciate you guys considering it, and you guys have a good day.
Thank you.
Next, we have petition 59-21. The Salkick family requests an exception to the side yard regulations for the purpose of constructing a retaining wall and fence and a gazebo at 5723 Wyland Drive, maintaining a side yard of 0 feet in lieu of 8 feet for the wall and fence, and a side yard of 4 feet in lieu of 8 feet for the gazebo as required by the R2 Residence District regulations and the density development procedures of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance.
Badil, you are unmuted to give your presentation.
Hi, everybody. You guys hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, we're willing to build those some side and a back, and I have my architect guy with us on a meeting also. Do you guys mind if he talk about how we're planning to lay everything out?
No,
Go
it's
ahead.
Is,
Adnan, you there?
is that Adnan? Okay, I'll make him a panelist as well.
Please, thank you.
Okay, Adnan, you are unmuted as well now.
Hey guys, thank you so much for doing it. So what Fadil is trying to do is he's trying to level off some of the yard that's there right now, and he's trying to put a gazebo. The back portion of the yard it's really hilly. It's a really steep slope. So really the only area that he has the availability to build is right there where we're proposing it. The retaining wall is actually the whole left side of the yard is sloping down towards the street and stuff. So the ultimate goal is to kind of level that out and to provide a pad to give them accessibility to the gazebo. The retaining wall and the chain and the fence is going to be actually matching the existing fence that's there, and the stone retaining wall is going to be one of the really mosaic nice stones that is going to be facing the neighbor's yard as well. And just instead of the wall and the fence are going to be actually in his property line, so we're planning on pushing it about 6 inches to a foot away from the property line to allow to make sure that we still remain on his yard.
And also,
do we have a picture of the backyard? No. Oh, thank you. Okay. So I was wondering why the gazebo has to be that far over.
So Debbie, there's a you can't really see in this picture, but there's existing pool patio around it, and there's a fence that protects people from going into the pool. So we really can't go any further deep to the right side of it. And also, as just a note of additional line of item, St. Louis County did send us letters to contact all of the Ameren, MSD, and all the regulatory companies and stuff, and we're getting their signatures that there's no utilities in their area. There's really nothing that they can that we're going to be building on top of. So we have almost all of the approvals already done.
and the Barak family is also with us here.
Which
So-
is the neighbor right adjoining to the property.
So where the swing set is that where the proposed gazebo is to go?
Yes, ma'am.
And may I have the word, please?
Yes.
I also have here with me in the same computer my neighbor Barak family, who is actually gonna be while standing next to his property, and I believe he signed it already. Then he's agreed, then we can build it with it.
You said
question.
your neighbor already said he was okay with it?
Yeah, he's right here with me, Sanal Barak. We're gonna. He's next. My first neighbor was the swing on the left side of the swing.
Yes, ma'am. And also, we have submitted a letter from from that family that they're in support of it. And also, I believe the subdivision trustees have weighted their support for the project as well. They don't have any issues if he builds that close to the property line.
What was the hardship for being in that position again?
It's just the existing topography of the site and existing conditions of the site that allows that's the really only space that we can build. As you can kind of see towards the back of the property, it's really, really hilly that there's really no possible way that we can level that out and build. So topography and existing conditions are preventing us from building anywhere else on the site.
Justin, do you have any other questions?
So it looks like, if you go back to the site plan, it looks like the retaining wall is only what, 4 inches tall?
So the retaining wall starts low on the top of the screen, and as it gets closer to the existing residence, it gets a little bit higher. So at the most, it's going to be 4 feet, but that's going to be only for, like, let's say 1 or 2 feet, linear feet of length. On the other end, towards the kind of as it flares out, it's going to be, you know, pretty much 0 at most portions. And actually, where you see that curve there, that's kind of the most significant one. And I
Yeah.
think that somebody just pulled up the image in front of the house, and you can kind of see how the grade drops off towards the front of the house as well.
Yeah. And then how tall is the fence?
So fence is 48 inches, you know, per the regulations for the swimming pools and stuff. But once the fence gets installed, the retaining wall then exceeds the variance requirements.
Gotcha.
So, and maybe to rephrase that, answer, the fence is within the variance requirements, but once you install on top of the wall, that it becomes, you know, non-compliant.
Okay. Is there anyone here on this WebEx that's in favor or opposition to this? Please hit the hand by your name.
So I think he has a neighbor that's on the same computer like the owner.
Oh.
That's in favor of the project.
Okay. All right.
I don't see any others.
All right.
Hearing none, what were the numbers again?
59-21.
59-21, I vote to approve the variance as advertised, and the hardship being the topography of the land and also the fact that it seems like the neighbors are in favor of it.
I'll second.
I'll concur.
Okay, we'll be sending you your paperwork.
Thank you
Thank
very
you all.
much.
Okay.
Thank you all. Appreciate you.
Next, we have petition 60-21, the zoological subdistrict of the Metropolitan Zoo requests an exception to the front, side, and rear yard regulations for the purpose of constructing boundary walls and fences exceeding 6 feet in height at 12385 Larimore Road, 12755 Columbia Bottom Road, and 12912 Spanish Pond Road. Maintaining front, side, and rear yards of 0 feet in lieu of 20 feet, 8 feet, and 15 feet respectively as required by the R3 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance.
I would just like to note for the board that subsequent to this application being filed, the change in zoning for this parcel was enacted, became official. So the site is now zoned PS Park and Scenic, which has a 25-foot front yard setback. So I believe the board, you know, can take their action and just revise the zoning district when the action is stated. But the zoning district is now PS Park and Scenic. Leslie and Dr. Mogerman, you are both unmuted. I'm not sure who's going forward with the presentation.
This is Joelle Mogerman. I will start and talk about the request for the variance in height of the fence, and then kick it over to Leslie or Chris Peoples in terms of the setback. So our property will be used to house exotic animals. And we have 2 regulatory bodies for that purpose. The first is USDA, and the second is the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. Both of those bodies provide standards for fence height to keep the kind of animals that we have in our care. And the requirement for both of those bodies is an 8-foot perimeter fence, which goes above the 6-foot current standard. So we are required, in order to operate that property as a zoological park, to have an 8-foot perimeter fence. We also are required to maintain that fence daily. So we have to be able to go and look at the fence and tend to it if there are any breaches in order to fulfill those requirements. And Leslie or Chris, do you want to talk about the setbacks?
Yeah. I will let Chris Peoples talk about that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if the staff gave the commissioners a copy of the color-coded version of the site plan, but I'll try to go around the property as simple as possible just to explain where the setbacks are most drastic at. So if we were to start at the bottom right-hand corner of the site, at the intersection of Larimore and Columbia Bottoms, we are considering that the entrance to the property. That setback there, we will require a setback. I got to pull my computer back up. We would be installing an 8-foot high fence in that area. The current setback is 25 feet. We are setting the fence 20 feet from the property line, so that would be a variance of 5 feet. If you continue to traverse the property going clockwise, we would still be at 20 feet until we get to the property line that runs north and south. That property line that runs north and south, the adjacent property to the west is actually undeveloped ground. It's a farm field. And so at that point, we would have a 5-foot setback, the fence would be 5 feet off the property line. Then if we were traversing west along the property line, those properties to the south of the property line would be residential. In that area, we do not need a variance for the fence. That fence would actually be outside of the setback. If we start heading north along the property line, we'll come to a point where we're running parallel to Spanish Lake Park. In that area, the setback, sorry, trying to navigate my computer screen. That setback would be 4 feet. I would like to note also that there is already an existing fence that was there by St. Louis County and the Parks Department, which is approximately 8 feet high. So we would be demoing that fence and installing a new fence. And we continue to traverse around the property. That ground is parallel to Spanish Lake Park. As we get up to Spanish Pond Road, we're now looking at having the fence running along the public right-of-way. Sorry, the site plan's so big, it's kind of hard to zoom in and see what the setbacks are. So in that area, actually running along Spanish Pond Road, we do not need a variance for the setback. The fence proposed along Spanish Pond Road would only be a 4-foot high standard chain link fence. That continues as we run down, we start heading back south along the property line adjacent to residential properties, which are known as Indian Oaks and Lucas Subdivision. In that area, we still do not need a variance for the setback because the fence is outside of the setback requirements as defined by the Parks and Scenic District. Once we get back up to Strodman Road, we're back along the right-of-way. And as we traverse the right-of-way around, going down to Columbia Bottoms Road and along Columbia Bottoms Road, the fence actually sits on the property line. The reason why the zoo needs the fence to sit on the property line in that area is for conservation reasons. There is currently a salamander conservation area there. And so the zoo is trying to do as minimal grading or disturbance to that conservation area is required. I would also like to note in that same area, there's already an existing fence that is about 8 feet tall from the previous golf course. So in theory, we would just be replacing that 8-foot high fence with a new 8-foot high fence. As we traverse, and if you want to zoom in a little bit, we traverse some residential properties along Columbia Bottom Road. They're the little flag properties that dive into the overall parcel. Doing there, we would need a variance, but that variance would be because the fence is obviously higher than 6 feet, and we would require a 5-foot setback. Once we get around the residential properties, and I know it's long-winded, so I apologize, but I just want to make sure you guys have an understanding of what's going on. We get back on the right of way, which is Columbia Bottoms Road. Columbia Bottoms Road has a setback of 25 feet. We will be placing the fence at 20 feet. As Joel stated in her presentation, the reason for the 20-foot buffer is to allow the zoo to be able to maintain the fence from the right of way and not have to traverse Columbia Bottom Road or the right of ways as they're maintaining those fences. So I will stop there. And if you guys have any questions, I will address those.
Well, I think I think you've given a pretty good description of everything. And Justin or Angelia?
So what are we stating is the hardship for the variance? So is it for public safety or what is the reason that we are doing it?
Joel, do you want to address that or do you want me?
You go ahead and I'll wrap up.
Okay. Obviously, it's for public safety. As Joel stated, the zoo will be housing animals. The development will have animals on site that the zoo has to make sure that they keep contained inside of the property. Also, for them to get their accreditation through the AZA, they have to have certain requirements. Their requirement is to have and maintain a fence of 8 feet or greater around the perimeter of the property. So the hardship is government regulations, organizational regulations and certification, and then also public safety.
Okay, thank you.
Well said, Chris. Yeah, for our animals, the 8-foot regulation for both USDA and AZA is both to provide a secondary containment for our animals, as well as try to prevent people from getting in where they shouldn't.
Okay.
I just have one question. What type of fencing is it? And sorry if that was said earlier, but I didn't hear it.
No, it was not stated. So the brand of the fence is called Stay Tough. And basically it's a high-end version of give me a second while I back up, sorry. It's a fixed knot fence. So it's a high-end version of cattle fencing. The zoo is elected to use metal post and brace instead of the wooden posts and nails that were specified by the manufacturer. So they're upgrading the installation of the fence. And then also they are using the non-bob wire version of the fence.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone on this WebEx meeting that's in favor or opposition, please? Hit the hand next to your name.
I don't see anyone.
Okay, in the matter of, let's see, what number we're at, 60-21, I recommend approval based on the hardships of the governmental regulations and public safety.
I second it.
I'll concur, and your paperwork will be sent to you.
Okay, thank you guys, I appreciate it.
Thank
Yes,
you
have a
very
good day.
much. You all have a great day.
Thank you.
Next, we have petition 61-21. Timothy and Elizabeth Brinker request an exception to the rear yard regulations for the purpose of constructing an in-ground swimming pool and pool equipment at 449 Avalon View Court, maintaining a rear yard of 10 feet in lieu of 15 feet for the pool and a rear yard of 3 feet in lieu of 15 feet for the pool equipment as required by the R2 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance and PEU Ordinance 18392.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Please proceed.
Hi, this is Tim Brinker. I guess first of all, I'm noticing that the first part about the rear yard of 10 feet in lieu of 15. We actually, I don't know if you probably don't remember, but we met with you guys about that in January, and that was approved. I wasn't necessarily expecting to speak about that again. The main reason for our request for variance today is we've encountered a difficulty with where we were going to place the concrete slab that the pool equipment goes on. Our original plan had it be on the left side of the house, not within the side 6-foot setback, but just on the left side of the house. And the hardship we've encountered is the topography of our the backyard. It's sloped pretty significantly. So apparently the best way to get the pool equipment to work well is to get it level with the pool water. Otherwise the equipment fails a lot easier, is what I understand. So they would have to dig in further into the hill. You can't quite see in that picture there, but you can kind of see where the end of the deck is. It would be back towards the deck. They'd have to dig down to make that level. The other hardship is that if you remember from before, when we first talked to you guys about the pool, was we have 2 easements in our backyard, and one is that one in the front part of the pool there, which is the sewer easement, and that's immediately behind our house. And we did not go into that easement at all. We started the pool immediately at the end of that. And we also had the 15-foot setback at the rear of the property, and we were allowed to go into that a little bit with you guys' approval earlier this year. So there's not a whole lot of other options for us for where we were planning to put the pool equipment. We felt the best option at this point would be just, if we could, put it in that 10-foot easement, staying out of the 10-foot easement setback towards the rear of the property, staying away from the 6-foot side setback. That way the level there is already pretty level with the pool. There wouldn't need to be any additional work needing to be done. When we have had the dig right people and everyone out, there's never been anything in that easement area. The other thing is, immediately behind our back rear of our property is common ground. So I think I don't think it would affect any of the neighbors as well. It probably is better to get the equipment further away from our next door neighbor's house. So that's kind of what I have to say. Any questions about that?
Well, I'm sorry, I had to leave the meeting for a second as I'm having something done here at my house. So the hardship for that, was the topography?
Correct.
We needed to change it. Okay.
And the multiple easements. Yeah, the topography was the reason for the change in our original plan, just because it would require us to dig down deep into the hill and potentially even kind of get to where the foundation of our house is. I'm not sure if it would interfere with that. The other thing is it's hard to turn it sideways, because then we get into the 6-foot side setback. Plus, if we turn it sideways, then it also gets in the way of just walking from the front of the house to the pool area, because you're
right
around that area. It's a little narrower than we were going to have it back further, and there's more space to the back, but that's way up really high, so we definitely can't do that, and that would definitely go under the foundation.
Yeah,
so
and it looks like you have common ground behind you too. Okay.
We do.
Sorry, I had to get up for a second. Okay, I don't have any other questions, Angela or Justin. Do you?
No, I don't.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone here that's in favor or opposition? Please hit a hand by your name.
I don't see anyone.
Okay, 61-21, I'm gonna vote to approve the variance as advertised, and the hardship being the topography and the easements, and they do have common ground behind their home, behind all this.
I second it.
Concur.
Okay, your paperwork will be sent to you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You guys take care.
Thank you.
Next, we have petition 62-21. James and Janine Halliman requests an exception to the rear yard regulations for the purpose of constructing a new deck and a room addition at 14 Arbor Leaf Court, maintaining a rear yard of 5 feet in lieu of 15 feet as required by the R1 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance and PEU Ordinance 21202.
James, you are unmuted to give your presentation.
Okay, yeah, thank you for listening to our request for variance. I'm James Timothy Halliman. My wife's name is actually Jeannie instead of Janine. Anyway, we bought our house from McBride as they developed the subdivision back in 2003. And it's a beautiful home. We've dreamed about having a house like this all our life. But, you know, now that we got older, it's a 2-story house with all the bedrooms upstairs. So we're either forced to move or to maybe add a bedroom suite on the first level, as you can see there on the diagram. And since the house is kind of on an angle on the corner, it would encroach on that property line back there on the very corner of the bedroom. If we don't get this approval, we'll be forced to probably move, which I don't want to do. We absolutely love this house. So thank you for listening to me. The whole point is my wife can barely make it up the steps to get to the bedroom. That's our hardship.
So,
unfortunately, we should have bought a house we should have bought a single-story house, but I don't know, this is our dream home and we've been here for many, many years and hope to stay here for a lot more years.
so where you're proposing is over the, like, where the concrete is there now?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
And it would be just be a 1-story, did you say?
It would be a 1-story and it would match the siding that you see there. Everything would be to blend right into what's there now.
Okay. Angie or Justin, do you have any questions?
No, I don't think I do right now.
Angelia?
I actually talked.
Yeah. Let me go, just in case they want me to do that.
Angelia, can you hear us?
Okay. Yes, I don't have any questions.
Okay. If there's anyone on this in favor or opposition, please hit the hand next to your name.
I don't see anyone.
Okay, hearing none, 62-21, I vote to approve the variances as advertised, and the hardship just being the need for a proper exit from the home.
Thank you.
I'll second.
I'll concur.
Thank you.
Okay, your paperwork will be sent to you.
Thank you very much for your help.
Okay.
The next petition is 63-21. Christopher Pizzamenti requests an exception to the sign regulations for the purpose of constructing new wall signs at 12257 Bellefontaine Road, maintaining a sign size of 50 square feet in lieu of 40.95 square feet and a distance of 24 inches in lieu of 12 inches for the rooftop signage as required by the C2 shopping district regulations and section 1003.168 sign regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance.
Mr. DeHer, you can go ahead with your presentation.
Okay. With noticing first off, what I'm assuming is a slight mistake. We're not requesting a variance to the allowed square footage of signage. Initially, we had hoped, our client had hoped to increase from the existing sign square footage to what we're proposing. What we are currently proposing is 42.5 square feet, adding up the allotted building frontage. We technically would be allowed 42.97 square feet. So we are slightly under that. I think what's the real concern is the request for a variance of the roof, to expand above the roof from 12 inches per code to 24. And that being that we've got an odd kind of a faux roof. This building is a flat top, flat roofed building. This has got a decorative, very steep angled roof on the front. There is a roof over the porch area, but in the picture is a bit deceiving, but that the rear part of that is nearly vertical, and really the only front building frontage that would allow signage on it. What we're proposing is essentially replacing what is currently there and in bad disrepair with failing lighting and multiple other problems. So I think our only real hardship is if we were to have to downsize the signage, the client may opt to just stick with the existing signage over that because it may not look aesthetically pleasing. And I think obviously the newer, fresher signage would certainly just clean the appearance of the building up overall.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Justin or Angelia, do you?
No.
Nope.
Okay. Is there anyone here in favor or opposition? Please hit the hand next to your name.
I don't see anyone.
All right. In the matter of petition 63-21, I recommend approval based on Mel. Is it 42 or 40? Where are we at?
I mean, the board could grant, up to you could grant the advertised 50 square feet if that is your will, but I'm not quite sure what the revised calculation is.
Okay. So I believe the gentleman said like 42 feet. Can you restate how many square feet your proposed sign?
The proposed currently is 42.5.
42.5. All right. In the matter of application 63-21, I recommend approval of the requested sign variance to 42.5 square feet and the distance as advertised.
I second it, and I would say it is a very large street, so I think it would help with visibility as well.
I'll concur.
Yeah.
So your paperwork will be sent to you.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Okay.
Next, we have petition 64-21, Kim Plutt. Request an exception to the front yard regulations for the purpose of replacing the front porch and stairs at 9980 Lark Avenue, maintaining a front yard of 0 feet in lieu of 20 feet as required by the R5 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I believe my name's Travis. I'm the contractor for the project here. And I believe that the 0 feet in lieu of 20 feet is a typo there. The current house sits 14 feet from the building line, as shown in the plot plan there. Actually, yours doesn't show the rest of the measurements. So the front of the house is 14 feet from the property and our building line. The front porch is in bad condition and disrepair. It needs to be updated and replaced. The composite boards, new roof, the whole thing. The footprint of the home will not change. The porch is actually above what used to be an old coal room. So we're using the existing foundation. It just happens that the house, when it was built in the 50s or 60s or however, so that white railing in that photo right there, it's not getting any closer to the street. The railing will be replaced. The house is getting a new roof at the same time, and we're changing pitch of that roof. It's just new decking, new railing, and new stairs there on the right down from the actual porch itself. Nothing is getting any closer to the street. So the code requires 20 feet from the building line. The front of the porch is 14.08 feet from the building line. The porch is only 5 foot 1 inches deep. So the entire front of the house, not the part that extends from the garage there, but the actual house itself behind the porch is also inside of that building line. So all we're doing is replacing same footprint, just new railing, new roof, new decking, and rebuilding that porch. It's really in bad shape. And this particular customer at this point has to use the driveway, and there's an addition on the back of the house there that can be seen with those 4 windows. That's her only egress in and out of the house because of the condition of the front porch.
Okay.
The reason that it's at 0 is because of the stairs that are there are over 12 inches in height. And I just wanted to make sure that he had, all the variance that he was going to need.
Sure. So I'll kind of add on to that front set of concrete stairs that are there just behind the mailbox with that white railing. Those will be untouched. The only stairs that are involved in this project are the 5 stairs that lead down from the elevated front porch to the top of those other concrete stairs. There'll be no change to the front of the house or those concrete stairs in any way. We're going to reuse the existing CMU foundation that's there and build off of that.
Okay, thank you. So Debbie, would it be better to just go ahead and say the 0 feet just to make sure everything's A-okay?
I personally think that would be right. Public Works didn't say anything about the way I advertised it, so if he's replacing that railing, I say go with 0 foot.
Yeah.
Because it is right there at the property line.
So, so I just want to be really clear about, kind of what the scope of this project is. When we're talking about replacing railing, the white railing that leads down what would be the right side of the stairs if you were coming toward the street, untouched, is not a part of this project. The only railing or construction of any kind that's going on is the front porch itself.
Yes, we understand that.
So the part that would be close, really close to that building line, untouched completely in this particular project. It's just for the safety of the homeowner and that front porch area. The boards are in terrible condition.
Well, we understand that, but I think we're going to go with, if we vote on it with the 0 feet, just to make sure everything's in sync. But anyway, let me ask if Justin and Angelia, do you have any other questions?
No, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't. Thank you.
Justin?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay. Is there anyone on this WebEx that's in favor or opposition to this? Please hit the hand next to your name.
I don't
Okay,
see anyone.
I'm going to go ahead and vote 64-21. I'm going to vote to approve the variance. I'm going to approve it at 0 feet and we do understand that you stated that the stairs down there were not going to be touched, just the porch was going to be replaced in the same footprint it is now, but it was advertised at 0 feet, so I think it's best to leave it at that.
Okay, so I actually have a question about that. So if
Well,
the homeowner,
we're voting already.
go ahead.
We
Yeah,
voted in favor. Let's let the other two vote, please.
okay, and I second it because it seems like whatever is happening there is gonna be in the same footprint.
I would concur with that.
Okay, sir, if you have any other questions, so we voted to approve it. So, you know, if you have any other questions, you might want to contact Debbie tomorrow.
Sure.
Oh,
Okay.
we approved it, so that's all the discussion we're going to have.
My question was just about the 0 foot. So even if that rail along those concrete existing stairs were to be replaced as part of this project, it would be included in the 0 foot to the building line, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have petition 65-21. Ben Farber requests an exception to the front yard and parking regulations to allow the construction of a 60-foot by 40-foot detached garage storage building, which will be more than half of the footprint of the home and over 1,000 square feet in size at 137 Valley Drive, and to allow a gravel drive in lieu of a paved drive, a front yard of 15 feet in lieu of 30 feet along Valley Drive and Elizabeth Drive, and to allow a building height of 17 feet as required by Section 4 of the R1 Residence District Regulations and Section 1003.165 Off-Street Parking and Loading Regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance. So for this petition, staff does have a recommendation of denial. First, we looked at the size. The proposed detached garage well exceeds the maximum size regulations at almost 200% of the footprint of the home and well over 400 square feet, which would make the structure no longer accessory or subordinate to the primary structure, which is the home. We do not recommend the placement of a detached garage in the front yard, and it is not appropriate in a residential district. As far as the variance for the setback, there's no expressed hardship for locating the structure in the setback. The lot is large enough to place a detached garage outside of the front setback and keep the building in conformance with setback regulations. Also, this lot is not of irregular shape that would cause a hardship to the applicant to need this in the front yard. Looking at additional variance setbacks, you know, our first question, is there a demonstrable unusual hardship? And no hardship was noted. Would this variance merely serve as a convenience to the applicant? Yes, placement of the garage in the front setback would just be convenient to the applicant. And would this placing it in the front yard protect, you know, surrounding property, and permitting a detached garage in the front setback in a residential district does not protect the surrounding property and also diminishes the semi-rural character of the area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Farber, you can go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you. First off, The hardship, one of the main ones is topography. I'm sorry I'm not on my computer, and I apologize for not being able to share anything. I have mailed, some of you may have already seen them, but I have provided pictures of everything involved. First off, I have 2 front yards because there's a paper street on the property. So I'm not sure that there's a location that wouldn't be considered a front yard to place this building within what is considered a backyard or a side yard on the property, especially in relation to topography, because there's no improvements in this entire valley that my home's located in. That's the first notation, and we can get back to that if necessary. There is no improvements whatsoever back in this property. So even though I understand it is zoned for residential, it is not, it is very rural back there. In fact, I am the one that takes care of this private road. And I used my equipment to maintain about a half-mile stretch of Valley Drive, which is in its entirety, that I have completely rebuilt the road for all of us residents that have lived along it. And that is my main request, is for the building size, so I can house a piece of construction equipment called a backhoe and a dump truck, so that I can keep maintaining the road, as it is not a St. Louis County owned road, and it is far better. I mean, anyways, it's for maintenance on the road is what the equipment's for, and it needs to be housed at least under something, which, you know, a lean-to would be fine. But at that point, if I'm going to build a structure large enough, that's tall enough, it would need to have more supporting walls than just 4 posts and a roof on it. So that have an actual structure that is enclosed would be ideal. So that way they are out of the elements and out of sight. Even though from my house you cannot see but barely my neighbor's house through some trees. That is part of it. I do have a letter from my neighbor saying he approves it, and he's the other person that lives on this road. There are no other homes on the road past, across from me. There are no homes across from it. There is 4 to 6 acres across the street from me that is undeveloped property. Let's see, there's no improvements on the land, no utilities. I apologize, I'm going through my notes. Let's see, building would be the same. I have taken pictures of other buildings on the road that other people have, which are in their front yards. And the building would be of the same structure and design. That is what I have at the moment. Was there any questions with anything I have said? There is more information I can provide in terms of the variances I'm asking for are not exactly, I believe I tried changing them. The road, Elizabeth, is not improved at all. And eventually I'm going to try, which should not be an issue, to have the 40, I believe it's 40 feet, that is a paper street given to me, but it's a long drawn out process. I'm not asking to build on that 40 feet, but pretty close. Like, I think I'm asking actually for a 5-foot variance within the paper street of Elizabeth. And I believe maybe it's 5 or 10 feet of Valley Drive. Again, there's no improvement on Elizabeth Road Drive, and that will hopefully actually not be a front yard anymore once that is gifted to me, and will actually be a side yard. That's what I have at the moment. Is there any other points anybody would like to bring up that I can discuss?
You probably have already said this, but what is the total square footage of the home?
My home is on the smaller side. It is, I believe it's like 980 square feet. And unfortunately, the equipment necessary is large. I mean, my dump truck alone is the width of my house. So getting it in a comparable, what would be a 20 by 20 garage is what, per the 2017 change is, that would be impossible for me to house my equipment in to maintain the road. And that's why I'm asking for a larger building. And actually, I think I'm going to have to wind up doing a somewhat smaller building, a 60 by 30. 40 feet is going to not fit where I need it to fit on the property. I think I'm actually going to ask for a smaller 60 by 30. So I'm willing to concede on it also, you know, to not build something quite as large. I do understand it's a large building, but I can tell you this valley is very undeveloped, very rural, and that is why I'm asking for a variance so I can maintain our road.
And what is the acreage of the property itself?
1.83, and it is very, very elevated, or not elevated. This is the flattest part of my house besides my backyard that has my kids' playground, and which is just a strip of land. I apologize for not having pictures of that part of it, but there's no driveway or anything going up into the back part of the land, and there's no access from Elizabeth Drive because Elizabeth Drive ends physically not on a map, not on the paper street, but the actual road itself physically ends 50 feet before my property.
Okay.
I don't have any questions. Justin, do you have any questions?
I mean, do you have are you running a business out of your home as well?
I am not running a business, no. This is strictly for maintenance of our road. And I can get more people to back, more individuals that live on the road to. I already have one, like I said, a letter stating that my neighbor the next to me is okay with it, but I can definitely easily show the owners at multiple addresses that I have maintained the road and I am the one that maintains it. And I have worked with the county on, at the end of Lucy Drive, there is I know this sounds silly, but there's a drain that goes under Lucy, and I am in contact and working with the county to decide what to do with the pipe that goes under the road. You know, we're dealing with culverts in this road back here and gravel. We're not dealing with a normal subdivision or any improvements whatsoever. I mean, I even deal with clearing trees that fall across the road. I mean, I have to get out there with a chainsaw. There's nobody else that comes to help with this stuff. It is me out there maintaining this. I'm a 35-year-old young male. Everybody else that lives on the road is 60 or 55 to 60 or older, which is perfectly fine. But they do rely on me and, you know, my young selves to take care of this.
Any other questions?
And if it is being motioned to deny, what would it take to make this go through?
Justin and Angelia, do you have any other questions?
No.
I don't have any questions right now.
Okay. Is there anyone on this Webex that's in favor or opposition to this variance? Please hit the hand by your name.
We do have one. Oh, wait. Oh, her hand went back down. Okay, we have one. Mary Stillman. Mary, you are unmuted.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry about the confusion. I think you mentioned that Elizabeth dead ends not too far from the end of your property. Is there any plan at all to continue Elizabeth from where it is now through to Valley?
No, in fact, I have heard from in the planning department that there is no plans whatsoever to continue it, and I have to contact the 4 people that live along the stretch of the paper street, which my one neighbor has already talked to him. He is in favor of it. The other is the Rabbit Society, and the other, I have a good rapport with them, and I would imagine they would. Basically, it would be the county gifting me the road, and it seems to be a long process, but not difficult because of the fact there is no gas, no water. There's barely, I mean, there's electric. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to say barely, but I know this sounds silly, but there's not even charter. I have the slowest internet in the world back there because we have AT&T and we're the end of the line.
Okay, just one other confirmation. So there would not be, this only involves your property. There isn't any impingement or anything at all on any other owner properties. Is that correct? That's
Correct.
kind of what I was hearing, so I just wanted to make sure.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mel, do you see anyone else?
I don't see anyone else.
Okay.
64-21, I vote to deny.
No, it's
Oh,
65. 65.
65-21, I vote to deny the variance. I feel like the building is too large for the property, and I will just leave it there. I just don't see the harm for it.
Can I make it a smaller size?
I will second that.
I concur.
Okay, your
What
paperwork
would
will
be
be
an
sent.
acceptable
Your
size?
paperwork will be sent to you.
Is there an acceptable size that I can get on an answer for this?
So let me go back to the interpretation.
I apologize. I'm just trying to I understand 60 by 40 is large. I am willing to concede to like a 30 by 50, but these vehicles are quite large to do the maintenance.
So what would be permitted would be a structure of 400 square feet or 50% of the footprint of your home, whichever of those numbers is greater.
And I understand that, but that's why I'm asking for a variance, is for a larger building so I can house these in this undeveloped area.
We've already voted on the information that we have advertised.
So can I apply for another variance for a 30 by 50 then? Is that what you're telling me I have to do? I'm just trying to understand my
initiate a new request. Is that right, Debbie? Could you file an application with a different request?
Yes.
Sorry. Instead of filing a new request and getting it denied, can anybody tell me if a 30 by 50 would be more acceptable?
Debbie, can Mr. Farber call you tomorrow or the next day? And you can discuss it with him? Did she say yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so Mr. Farber, can you please call Debbie Nesbitt tomorrow or the next day or the day after?
Yes, if that's what's necessary. I'm just trying to find out if I need to go to court or redo this or what. I apologize.
She'll be happy to help you.
Yeah, she'll talk to you about that.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Okay.
Next, we have petition 66-21. Glennon and Joan Wickerell requests an exception to the rear yard regulations for the purpose of constructing a pergola over an existing deck at 5135 Butler Hill Court, maintaining a rear yard of 11 feet in lieu of 15 feet as required by the R4 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance and PEU Ordinance 21202.
Okay, Mr. Barnard, you are unmuted to give your presentation.
Okay, thank you for your time. The client, Mr. Wackerly, contacted us to construct a shade structure for them. They have a direct western exposure with no shading, no trees of any type. They don't get any shade on the back of the home until the sun goes down. And a few years ago, they had a deck constructed, which during days like today is basically unusable for them. And that sun comes directly through the back windows. They put tinting on the windows and heavy drapes, all kinds of stuff. But they asked us to build a shade structure for them, and the existing deck goes basically all the way up to that rear building line. And they asked if we could have the shade structure extend past the deck by, I have it extending past the deck by about 3 feet, just so that shading is useful into the afternoon. If you have it right at the edge of the deck, after about 1 o'clock, it's probably not very useful at all. So they wanted it to extend past the deck a little bit, and as part of that, didn't really want the new structure to be modifying the existing deck, which I was fine with from a construction standpoint, from our point of view. And we've got the posts for that about a foot past the base of the existing deck, and that's kind of what they're looking to do.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Debbie, I just have a quick question for you. In terms of like an overhang, is there any consideration in the codes for like if they would set the post at the back of the deck and then there's like an overhang of 2 feet or whatever, does that still require a variance?
I believe so. They can have like an 18-inch overhang. That's about it.
Okay, thank you.
In the overhang, we were going to be about a foot past the back of that deck with then an overhang of about 1'9", so it'd be a total of about 3 feet past that back face of the deck.
So essentially, so Debbie, if I'm hearing what he just said correctly, basically he only needs a foot variance versus the 3 or 4 feet because it can overhang by 18 inches.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it would be measured from the edge of from where the roof comes over, but like I said, I could believe it's 18 inches.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of it, but if we don't have to issue a variance for, 4 feet, we can just figure out a way to do it to the back of that deck.
I mean, yeah, it's.
Yeah, their only concern with that is that the way the deck railing is constructed and where these posts would go, it wouldn't be particularly attractive, and having the post just past the deck eliminated the need to try and modify the existing railing and that sort of thing.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Is there anyone on this WebEx that's in favor or opposition? Please hit the hand next to your name.
I don't see anyone.
I mean, I don't necessarily see a hardship, which is why I'm struggling to try and figure out a way to help the applicant get what they need. Because I understand with a western facing backyard, it doesn't.
And I do understand that to an extent. We're just trying to kind of help them achieve what they're to get some usefulness out of their deck and
yeah, absolutely
help to avoid some heating and cooling issues and stuff like that in the house as well.
Yeah.
Justin, would you rather I go first or?
Yeah, if you feel comfortable, go for it.
Okay. 66-21. I do feel I am going to vote to approve. I do feel there's enough of a hardship that I think that a roof over that would greatly enhance the time they can use their back deck. And I don't think it's that small amount is going to impact any of the neighbors' property value.
I second.
I'm not going to concur at this point.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. Somehow my phone is attached to my iPad here. Anyway, so two of us approved it, so you'll be receiving your paperwork that it is approved.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Next, we have petition 67-21 Josh Wheeler requests an exception to the rear yard regulations for the purpose of repairing/replacing an existing deck at 509 Woodland Crossing, maintaining a rear yard of 8 feet in lieu of 15 feet as required by the R4 Residence District Regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance and PEU Ordinance 14441.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Wheeler.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, just a little history. The house was built in 1988 with a larger deck than what exists today. We had bought the house 17 years ago. And when we bought the house, we replaced the deck in its entirety and got permitted for that. And at the time, St. Louis County said that we needed to actually scale back that top deck by 2 feet, which we did. Here we are today, and all we're asking is to maintain that existing size. We're not trying to, go larger or anything else. We're just trying to maintain something that has existed in its current state or larger for 33 years. We do have signatures from all the immediate neighbors, especially the one where the direct line is showing the 8 feet, saying that it is, okay with him for us to maintain that existing structure.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Anjali or Justin, do you?
No, so basically you're putting it in the same footprint.
It's the exact same footprint. The only thing that would be changing is we're flip-flopping the position of the stairs from the upper deck to the lower deck and then the lower deck to the ground, just as a safety. Because right now, if you come out the sliding glass door, you would have to make an immediate right to get down those stairs. And with a family of 4 and this being an exit, we thought flip-flopping the stairs would allow more time in case of an emergency to, not everyone tripping over themselves. But that's the only, thing for dimensions or anything else that would be changing.
I have no questions.
Okay. Is there anyone that's on this WebEx that's in favor or opposition to this? Please click the hand by your name.
There are no more attendees.
Hearing none, 67-21, I vote to approve the variance as advertised. It's really going in the same spot, and the hardship is just the need to increase safety.
I concur, or I'll second. Sorry.
I'll concur. All right, your paperwork will be sent to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Wait a minute.
Okay,
Oh.
meeting's adjourned.
Oh, Debbie, do you need something? Oh, Debbie.